I can hear when the pig whispers sweetly, jealousy is the weapon you kill me. Keep a dime for a truth you might tell.
You told a lie, and I don't know why.
You toed the line, and I know it was mine.
Yeah, I'll just sing
dude,
it, and you
dude,
just interpret it.
Yeah, dude, I'm the same way, though. I'm like, no, this is the fucking lyric because it's better. I do that all the time. I'm like, no, this is a much better line.
Yeah, I like
Only
that
they
one.
could have been better writers.
If only they could have fucking played their craft a little bit better.
Yeah, you know. Fucking Stone Temple Pilots. Jimi Hendrix with his words.
He's like fucking Valleys of Neptune, whatever. Fucking go back to space, hippie.
Fucking hippie.
Quite good. Attack warning. Is it for real? Attack warning. It's for bloody real.
Live from Colorado Springs, the Drop Culture Podcast.
Want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Come on, quick, get down. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome, everybody, to the Drop Culture Podcast. This is that podcast where we pick up that piece of pop culture that you forgot about or missed, shine it up real nice, cram it in your ear holes. Except this week. What are we doing this week, Brock?
We are actually covering our top 5 space movies.
Top 5 space movies for Spacegiving.
It is a very wonderful time of year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
We're celebrating in space.
That's right.
Now, okay, I had a rough time with this, and the only reason why I had a rough time was because what constitutes a space movie to you? You know?
Sure.
Does it all have to take place in space? Does it all have to have a scene that involves being in space? The majority of the movie in space? How did you categorize this?
So that's funny that you say that. I was actually talking with my wife. She's like, well, what are you guys doing? You know, she's always wants to know. And I said, we're doing our top 5 space films for Spacegiving. I believe I said Spacegiving. And we were talking about a couple of movies, and then I said a movie, and she's like, oh, that opened a whole different world of movies. You know? And I'm like 100%.
Right.
So I don't think, I'd put no limitation on this. Like, if you feel like it's a space movie, great.
Okay.
If you don't, that's fine too.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I left out the low-hanging fruits.
Okay.
Okay. Like Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's
did
cool.
not.
For me, I left it
Spoiler
out
alert.
because all the first 3 Star Wars movies could be my very
This is the
1,
one.
2, 3.
This is the one proviso that I put in this. Just one movie from a franchise.
See,
That's
I
how
did.
I did that.
I did choose one movie from a franchise because Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
How many Star Trek movies are there?
A bazillion.
They all take place in space.
That's true. That's true.
There's just, there's some things, but I kept it from my personal. I kept it where the majority, almost 95% or something like that, took place in space.
Yeah. In fact, at the end, I might have some honorable mentions that came to mind, but because there wasn't enough space, maybe.
Yeah, that it didn't make
That
it.
it didn't make it. Or that, and there are some of these that I know they, I would still consider them space movies, but, maybe part of it's like, takes place on.
Yeah, different planet.
Yeah, or even if it takes place on this planet and they're heading into space. Like I saw, obviously there's a lot of lists and a lot of stuff out there. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, Apollo 13 didn't make my list. You know what I mean?
No.
I wasn't looking for that kind of space movie. That's not like
Right.
it's. And if I were counting that, it probably still wouldn't be in my top 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I started looking through what people were putting, like, Vogue and all that stuff like that. You know what I mean? I was like, it's all the same stuff. You know, it's all Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Star Trek and everything. And then when I started digging in a little bit deeper, I was thinking, oh, that's right. That one is. You know, so the list kept getting bigger and bigger, but it still wasn't like your top 5 action movies. Right. Jesus, come on. Where does that start?
Yeah, that's...
Space movies have been around since the silent era with, what was it, Voyage to the Moon or some shit like that?
Trip to the Moon.
Yeah. See? Yeah. So, shot the man in the moon right now.
Oh, yeah, right now. Eye hole.
Which
use an eye hole.
Yeah. Which it's been in movies since the very beginning. So, it to me, I did have to put I had to wrangle some stuff, but I couldn't pick, you know, like movies that I've already picked in my other top 5, but then I thought, why not?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
I was like, who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So
nobody's the boss of you.
Yeah, so that's why I left
out
Star Wars.
This is our podcast.
Yeah. I left out Star Wars because, ultimate space movies, come on. They're better than Flash Gordon's, you know, things like that, right? Which is another one that takes place a lot in space, you know. Not really. It's like Barbarella, right?
Right.
How does that work out being in space?
Sure.
The first scene where you get to see your titty?
Would that make Planet of the Apes?
Right.
You know?
Those made a lot of lists, Planet of the Apes, and I was thinking, no.
Yeah, they don't count that as a space movie, really.
Maybe because they were on the same planet. Spoiler alert. So it's not a space movie. Only the first 5 minutes is in space.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly.
They don't even go back to space. They stay on Earth.
That's right.
In the future. So, but yeah, so I had to put a few limitations. But
sure.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, no.
No?
It's for you, my friend.
Okay. So my number 5.
Yes.
We'll dive right into this. If you're listening to this and you do have your own top 5 favorites, hit us up at dropculture.com or dropculturepodcast@gmail.com. So,
yeah, we'd love to hear your guys' favorites.
Yeah.
And tell us why our favorites suck or whatever.
Or what constitutes a space movie.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Like all the Avengers movies, you know, see, Marvel movies fit into that deal too. Okay, never mind. I'm done. Let's hit the top 5. My number 5 is The Last Starfighter.
Nice.
And I put that on there because it does take place in a trailer park.
It does.
Yes. It starts in a trailer park, but the rest of the movie is in space.
That's right.
So you get 20 minutes of trailer park. The rest of it, you're fighting the Kodan Empire, you know. You're a starfighter.
This is true.
Which is absolutely
directed by Nick Castle.
I know.
Yeah.
This movie still to this day, when I watch it, it makes you feel like a kid in a way. But
because he's playing it at arcade and it's in the 80s?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. But the way it looks, I mean, the way that they, whatever their film stock and the colors that they use really reminds you of a Steven Spielberg movie.
Sure.
In a way, like maybe a Close Encounters or something like that, you know? It's just the way that it was vibrant and it looked. And then they had a really, for the time, great looking starship.
Yeah.
You know? And they really didn't show the star base that they were on.
Right.
You know what I mean? The planet they were on, because that got wiped out. But, you know, the bad guy that was, or the main leader of OCP.
Yes,
was
not ICP. That's different.
for RoboCop, which is not a space movie. He was
and does not involve juggalos.
Yeah. He was the guy behind the makeup that was showing him. Sure. Which for the longest time I was like, oh my god, that guy did such a great job.
Sure.
And the aliens in that movie were awesome. They really were. They really kind of kicked ass in that stuff.
Yeah, and then there was a variety, which was kind of cool, you know, for sure. Yeah, I enjoyed that movie. It's been a while since I've seen that. I should probably watch that again now that we're talking about it.
It's one of the only movies I have on Blu-ray.
Really?
I have it on Blu-ray, DVD, pretty sure, and
DVD.
VHS.
Oh, wow.
I know,
the
right?
Trifecta.
Yeah. Well, it's a Catherine Mary Stewart movie, so kind of into that.
I'm kind of into that.
Yeah, it was really... I mean, the
what
guy...
year did that movie come out?
1986, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
I believe
Pretty
you.
sure,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Pretty sure it was 86.
I think it was 84.
It was earlier?
Yeah, I think it was 84.
It's just really freaking cool.
yeah, for sure.
You know, they had the cool aliens. Even the dude that was like coming to get him, Beeblebrox or what? What was his name? He was the Music Man.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they had so many really cool people in this movie, and a lot of background actors that were in a lot of other movies. And when you get up into the space station, the bad guy was so like, he's like, "Stop it, guys! I'm coming after you." He's all, "Don't give me that crap." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, he was very effeminate.
Yes.
The way he played it with his scepter and shit like that. And then the bad guy aliens too were like, you know, and they had the little laser tag deals that would be like, you know, like go up above their eye and everything. And they're like, "What did he say?" And so, "Fire, Captain. It has been a pleasure." There, and you know, the whole premise behind the whole deal, you set a video game out. He did, the Music Man did,
Right.
and basically whoever scores the highest, it sends a signal, you know, and then he comes to pick them up and is like, "Hey, you want to fight the Kodan Empire?" They're like, "Holy shit, yes!"
Guess it's time.
Yeah, and somehow it winds up at a trailer park, which is very cool. You know,
Right.
just it's this guy that wants to do something better with his life, but can't get into college, but yet he kicks ass at video games, right by the hot dog stand.
Yes.
That is freaking cool too. That like the trailer
Absolutely.
park, the Starbright or whatever it was. I always think of Star, the little bitty deals, the Star,
Light Bright?
Light Brights, yes, because they have it right there, and it's actually in kind of like it's stepped down. You know, the trailer park is because the sign is right there on the road,
Right.
but then you walk down a little bit further and you get the snack bar. Like I lived in a trailer park that had a community room, right, where it had
Did
a
it have
pool in
snack
it.
bar?
It had a pool, and it probably did at one point. You know, it was a trailer court.
Yeah.
And I remember going swimming in the thing. God, it was nothing like this one at all. But that's the only kind of reference that I have. But honestly, that was so cool. But it's California.
Yeah.
So somebody's up there cooking, and you can give them $1.25 and get a meal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you live in a trailer park.
Right. Right.
Which, yeah, the characters were really thought out well. The directorial style that he used was pretty good. I mean, it's just a good overall movie.
Yeah.
The
absolutely.
Last Starfighter is my number 5.
That's a great movie. And that was actually on my list. It just didn't make the cut. And this movie might be a little bit of I feel like it's not. But you can tell me. And this is Enemy Mine.
That made my honorable mention.
Okay.
And I would think that in a weird parameter, yes, it is.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, definitely starts out that way.
Yeah.
You know, they just end up crashed on the planet together.
Well, they used a lot of the bulk of the movie was just them getting to know each other.
Yeah,
you know, it was the
absolutely.
Confederates and the Union Army. You know, having to live. You know?
Yeah, there was a few movies like right on the cusp here for number 5 where I was like Explorers with Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix.
Yeah, that was an honorable mention too.
Yeah.
A lot of that took place but it was
A lot of
the
it took
ending.
place on Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
to
the
get 'em
ending
there,
had
right.
that on there, which was really cool. And you always watch that movie, and now it's another one that kind of has that style that is nostalgic.
Yeah, 100%. I think Enemy Mine for me, it's less of a space movie and it's more of character driven.
Right.
You know, 100%.
Yeah.
Lou Gossett Jr., Quaid, you know, you can't go wrong.
No.
And it's just a well done movie. Again, kind of on the cusp of being a space movie. There are a lot of, like I said, very cuspy movies. Probably more of a space movie that made my honorable mention
Right.
was probably Ice Pirates.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get far into that because we're going to do a show on that.
We're going to do Ice Pirates.
I'm going to get a copy. But yeah, I would say for me, Enemy Mine, Explorers were like my tie there, but they were just kind of like I said, kind of cuspy.
Yeah.
You know, as far as whether they were actually space movies.
Right. But since they were on a different planet and then they were in the kid's spaceship.
Thunder Road.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the name of it?
Yeah, it's a Thunder Road. Great, awesome movie too.
So I threw like a few movies in there, but that's because my 5 was so there was like so many right there. And I'm like, I had to judge it on which one took more time in space.
Right.
Yeah.
But also was a better movie.
Yeah. And was actually less of a space movie than the other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, the Last Starfighter did take place, on Earth, and there was a lot of scenes there, but the majority of it, and it was about being in space, being a starfighter.
Yeah. A starfighter.
Yeah. Fighter. Because for real, you can consider Jason X.
Yeah, 100%. There's a ton of these movies, that...
Armageddon.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was the one with the old guys?
Oh, that was...
Space Cowboys or something?
Oh, yeah.
Like Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah, like Apollo 13, cool movie, awesome Tom Hanks movie.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. But
Yeah.
it's not what I envisioned, I guess, when I was thinking space movie.
More science fiction space movies.
Yeah.
Now, before I get to my number 4, one movie that sticks out the most, which what was that?
Something just happened. I don't know.
Which I would almost think would probably be the most realistic space movie. Well, before I say it, let me show you and make sure it's not on your list.
No.
Okay, cool. Interstellar.
Yeah, no, and that is a very good space movie.
That is a entire space movie.
Right.
That is a great space movie. That is one of the most, because they used a computer to come up with the way that the event horizon looked.
Right.
The way everything kind of was actual real. So we don't even know if it really does look like that, but honestly, we could really think that's pretty awesome. The way they use time, the way they use Einstein's theories, things like that. It's a complete space movie.
100%.
And it's a great one, too. It's a great one. But my number 4. You might have got this as your number 4, too. Spaceballs.
No. Spaceballs was another one that's on the cusp. I'm like, dude, how can you go wrong?
Yes.
It's basically a Star Wars parody with Mel Brooks.
Yes. Dark helmet.
Win. Yeah,
Colonel
Moranis.
Sanders.
Oh, jeez, dude. Such a great movie.
Spaceballs is one of the ultimate funny movies, but being a parody of Star Wars, it's so funny.
And
it's so
that's
good.
one I saw in the theater
Yes.
as a kid, I own that on Blu-ray, I believe. I don't know why on Blu-ray, but I do. Doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I went and saw it when I was a kid, and then when it came back out to the theaters 10 years ago, something like that, went and saw it again. It was like, yeah, it's still funny.
Yeah, it's still awesome.
I love Spaceballs. I love everything about it. Spaceballs a t-shirt, Spaceballs a Blu-ray,
Spaceballs the toilet paper.
Spaceballs the blowtorch, the flamethrower. The kids are gonna love it. There's just so many good parts in that movie, and there's not really a lot of content except for being on Yogurt's planet that is really not in space.
That's true.
I mean, they're on the big giant starship the whole time. And whenever they're evacuating the 3-ring circus.
Yeah.
The 3-ring circus.
The RV.
Yeah, the Winnebago in space.
That's it, yeah.
They have cool aliens like Barf.
And Pizza the Hut.
Yes. Or Pizza's going to call for takeout for you. He's I love you, Pizza. But yeah, that is now. There's some comedy ones. I would almost put the aliens are pretty goofy in Explorers. You know?
Oh yeah, 100%. That was like a wholesome family comedy about space travel.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And I thought that some of the things that were cool in that, like they were receiving that message when he dreamed, and then the other kid could make it happen.
Yeah.
Like there was some cool parts to that movie,
Yeah.
but it was definitely like, hey, a bunch of kids are going to make this ship and go into space.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Well, and see, this one kind of reminds me of Space Camp in a way.
Okay.
Because Space Camp, I don't know, it was
Spaceballs or
Space Camp.
No.
As far as like in that era,
Oh,
right
okay,
there,
yeah.
where all these space movies were at, Space Camp really kind of. It's one that I haven't really watched in a long time.
Again, another movie I saw in the theater.
I'm trying to think of any other, space comedy that was really good.
Ice Pirates, which I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And you should watch and wait till you hear our episode about it.
This one's different.
Okay.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, of course.
It was a fucking great movie.
That was another one that's like
yes.
on the list, but
Yes.
I just couldn't
It is
put it above some of the others.
Right. It's just a great movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spaceballs is my number 4.
Nice. My number 4 is actually a little newer. This is a little ensemble movie directed by James Gunn called Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely a space movie.
100%.
And it's got a great cast and the crew, that kind of forms together over time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's Marvel.
Yeah.
But I think this was like a Marvel that no one else expected. No one thought, hey, they're going to make Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't even know who these, some of these Guardians.
No.
I didn't know who Star-Lord was. Because I only had read the 90s Guardians of the Galaxy,
Right.
which were based on the 60s Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean?
It's a weird premise, and it is completely about, being in space.
Yeah, and it's fun. But it's definitely still has gravity with like what's going on. You know what I mean? So there's still that piece of it, I think.
Well, I didn't put that one in number 2 or Thor Ragnarok on my list, just because, again, I think that those are given as being awesome space movies.
Yeah, again,
to me,
I was just
personally.
doing my top 5.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's definitely one of them.
Yeah,
and
I think
one more than 2.
Yeah, I like 2 a lot.
2's good.
Yeah.
But 1 was better in my opinion.
It was a fucking awesome movie. Yeah. It really was good all the way through, and still is a good rewatch.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I think it'll always be good because of the cast, because of everything in it. And then when you get to part 2, yeah, they throw in a whole bunch of extra stuff, but it's still pretty good.
Oh, it's still great.
But
if I had to choose one to watch, it would be, this one probably.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, shit. Like you said, you had characters that were kind of on the back seat.
Yeah.
Like Rocket Raccoon, right? Before the movie came out, you could buy his comic book for $0.25 in the used bin. Nobody wanted a Rocket comic book, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then they jumped up in price to thousands of bucks. You know what I mean? Guardians of the Galaxy were kind of almost relegated to like Doom Patrol status.
Right.
Kind of in the background, but very influential.
I liked, for me, the characters that I remembered, like, from being a kid and reading comics and stuff were really just Yondu, but he's different, obviously.
Yeah.
Gamora, of course. Drax. And that was really it. I didn't know who Groot was. I didn't know who Rocket was. I didn't know who Star-Lord, because that's the newer Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, I knew Rocket because he was out in the 70s or
I'm sure
70s or 80s, something like that. But I knew Rocket in there.
Man, when I was reading comics, I was too cool to buy a Rocket Raccoon comic.
It would have been pretty cool.
I would have still bought a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one, though.
Yeah, I think I would have got that instead. Or Batman versus Predator.
There you go.
Call back. Great choice.
But I think that it's really overall just a great movie. But there's a lot of spacefaring that goes on in it.
Oh,
you know
big
what
time.
I mean?
Yeah. And
planet
even
to planet and things like that.
Even in part 2 when they're kind of doing the jumps.
Yeah.
And then you add in the space for Avengers, not Endgame. Yeah, Endgame. that whole big part of it. Even Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I think this set the pace for like the cosmic universe of Marvel too. You know what I mean? It really set the ground for it because you got Nova Corps right away. You got which they wiped out pretty quick. You know, through the Thanos storyline.
Right.
But
and they're gonna still revisit it because there's still one more Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, and there's got to be. Oh, I was gonna say they're gonna revisit Nova because they're gonna have to.
Yeah.
To make Nova.
Yeah, and Nova.
And I think they will.
And then we'll have to have an Adam Warlock.
That's supposedly coming in the third one.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
But yeah, I think they built a nice universe there. Even if this was not in Marvel, there was no Infinity War.
Yeah.
This is still a great space movie.
Yes. It's really kind of in that vein of Serenity.
Yeah.
And Alien 4.
Alien Cubed.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's 3. That's your favorite one, right?
Technically, which everybody freaking hates it.
No, I didn't hate it.
Oh, there's a lot of people that just despise.
There's a lot of people that hate a lot of things, especially now that there's a thing called the internet. And they like to get loud about it. And again, send all your hate mail, Dan at dropculture.
At dropculture.com. But no, that's a great choice. That's why I didn't pick those because they are so good.
Well, and that's the thing is, again, if I'm choosing my favorites, I'm like, if I'm going to sit down and watch space movies, what order would I pick the movies to watch?
Right.
And what ones affected me the most?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's where
So
this one's
far-
my number 4.
Yeah, so far.
5 was hard because there was a lot that were right there, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't really choose one because they're not the same. You know?
You put this one over that one?
Right.
Yeah. It's hard because there was those really good ones like Red Planet.
Yeah.
Which most of it took place on Mars.
Right.
Mission to Mars, you remember that one? With Don Cheadle?
Yeah.
Not a bad one.
Right.
Oh my God. Sunshine?
I don't think I saw that.
This is a decent movie too. It was not Peter Boyle, but Danny Boyle movie, I think.
Okay.
So it's pretty different. Yeah. Deep Impact. Remember that one?
Yeah, of course.
That was more realistic. So I
Yeah.
guess that goes more into the Interstellar vein. And even
Wasn't that Morgan Freeman was the president?
Yeah.
And like,
they had a lottery.
yeah.
And it was so sad.
Yeah, it was a sad movie. Everybody watched it. Came out the same time around Armageddon.
Yes.
They do that, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of put them all together. But my number 3.
Yes, sir.
And this one is part of a major franchise.
Okay.
But this one is one that I love to watch a lot. Star Trek 2, the Wrathicon.
That was definitely in my honorable mention list.
Mm-hmm. It is so freaking awesome.
And that's that specific one.
Yeah.
I'm not even a Star Trek guy, but that's a great movie.
Yes, all the way through. I just everything, and then knowing that he was a character from the TV show that they did,
Right.
and they had this awesome dude that was like badass, and the little worms that go in their ears. Fucking everything about that movie is awesome. I mean, everybody knows the Khan, but that's what I say every time I see James Caan. I'm like, James Caan.
As you should.
Yeah. But God, I love their uniforms in this one. They were really awesome.
Yeah.
It was way better than part 1, the motion picture, which the motion picture was more,
I agree with that.
was a more of a space movie because they were in space the whole time. 100%. I don't think that they were on Earth at all in part 1.
Okay.
Because they started out.
I don't really remember. It's been a long time since I saw the original Star Trek.
It's boring as shit.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
what
really
I remember.
cool.
That's what
Yeah.
I remember of it.
Well,
but 2 was there was like action and drama, like real.
They made it instead of Star Trek being the ultimate Star Trek television movie, they juiced it up with Star Trek 2, and gave you this whole backstory with Kirk and his son and his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend and the Genesis Project. And there's so many cool aspects of it that carried on through the other movies that this one was just far the best. The eugenics from the late 90s.
Right.
eugenics from the 90s. You're thinking, damn.
This and one other Star Trek movie made my list, and that was the 2009.
Oh, that one's
It's
freaking
so good. J.J. Abrams, and Chris Pine did a great job.
Yes.
That was a great movie as well.
The first 20 minutes of that movie are like,
amazing.
yeah, one of the coolest freaking things I've ever seen in my life, you know? Just that's what they did with those movies, these newer ones, you know? The Into Darkness, pretty cool, but it was no con, you know? And then the last one, is too much.
Yeah.
I was just kind of bored with it, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, the first one was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then Star Trek 2 is just pretty bitchy.
Yeah, Star Trek 2, like I said, those are right there for me.
Yeah.
As far as Star Trek. And again, I'm not a huge Star Trek guy.
Yeah. I think I can watch this one and Star Trek 4 the most until you get into the Next Generation movies.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Cybok and fucking all the the undiscovered planet country, when they're talking to God, and he's like, wait a minute, if you're God, and he's like, oh, you got me. Darn it.
Don't look at the man behind the curtain.
Yes. Yeah. Cybok's not real. What? You're not his brother? But yeah, this one is pretty fucking bitchin'. So
Yeah,
that's my major franchise. Well, no, not really.
I've got a few.
Yeah, I got one more major franchise in there. But yeah, that's my number 3.
Fair enough. So my number 3 is a little Stanley Kubrick film, which you knew would have to be on this list.
Yep.
That's 2001, Space Odyssey. I love Kubrick, period, except for not a big fan of Eyes Wide Shut, but a lot of his movies I like.
Oh, this one is the ultimate.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got some good movies.
This one actually made my number 2.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, why don't we hold off talking about it till we get to your number 2, which would be next. So let's keep talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your number 3, my number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so obviously Arthur C. Clarke.
He wrote the book,
Right.
which he's got, it's like every 10 years he got another series or something like that, or another chapter in this big saga that they have.
Because it was based on a short story that he wrote, and then they were like, let's make a movie about
he expanded
space.
on
He's
it.
like, yeah, and then boom, from there.
And then I think him and Kubrick spent forever just talking about the shit. That's one thing that Kubrick was really good about, is he was like, I'm not going to fuck around here. I mean, what do you think? It was just like what they did with Interstellar.
Right.
He brought in the strongest mind that you could that wasn't a computer at that point and said, okay, what do you think space will look like? He's like, all right, well, let's figure this out. How many of those things did they use nowadays?
Yeah.
Probably a lot
100%.
of them. Like the Velcro, the obvious things that you have, you know, like the Velcro shoes. Okay, cool. Velcro was just invented not too long before that movie came out, you know, because they were using it in space. It was invented for that, during the space race. And God, just the way that they were talking on the video screens.
Yeah.
You know, they had those in the 70s, but it was nothing like it is now.
Right.
You know, and every time I do a Facebook call or something like that, or a FaceTime or anything, I'm like, this is like fucking 2001. You know, he stays at a Hilton Inn.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going around the planet. What? The way they're docking and everything.
They've got
too?
the AI. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. Dr. Chandra said. And it ends up being this really weird kind of halfway horror movie.
Right.
And I love how whenever they're outside, there's no sound.
Right.
Because there wouldn't be.
Well, there are very long sections of this where there's not talking or anything going on. And I will say, as a kid, like the first time I ever watched this, I thought this movie was boring as shit.
Mm-hmm.
As I got older, I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's still kind of the standard of which I base, like, whether a space movie is good or not.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it was, like, ultra realistic for the time. Obviously, in 1968, you know, special effects weren't quite where they are now, but they did it.
Does it not?
Amazing
Does
job.
it? I mean, does it look like it came out in '69?
No.
The costumes, maybe, but not
Yeah,
even then.
yeah.
They were so plain and so I don't know. They just fit like what you would see, and they're
100%.
actually what a lot of things look like in 2000, 2001.
Right.
I mean, what was really cool about this one too is it was 10 years before or whatever Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It was a long time before.
Yeah, like 9 years.
Yeah.
68 and 77.
Okay. And it everything was brand new and white. It was so bright. It was a very, very bright movie. It hadn't been used that much. Star Wars introduced that lived in, space movie,
Right.
like you were really there. Wasn't a Flash Gordon like, hey, let's play football. You know what I mean? But it was an actual, that's what you want to see when you're up there. Even
Yeah.
whenever they're docking, the way that they did those matte paintings, the way that they did everything. Honestly, if nobody has a frame of reference when movies were made and you showed this movie and a new movie, would they be able to tell a difference?
No.
They'd be like, those guys
Well,
look kinda
probably-
weird.
probably
Yeah,
they could,
it's just
but yeah.
they look weird for the time.
Sure. Sure.
That Keir Dullea, I can't ever say his name, Keir Dullea,
Mm-hmm.
the main guy.
Yeah.
He was, he didn't really do a lot after that,
No.
except for 2010.
Yeah. But this is the one out of those that I would watch.
Yeah.
This is I prefer this one. 2010's good,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I prefer this one.
Yeah, I like 2010 just in the way that, again, the science part of it, the physics or whatever you would
Sure.
say, how they use the air braking technique in that was really awesome. Effects, they nailed it back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I even heard that the original Discovery was in somebody's backyard at one point, and they found the original space station, all that stuff like that, because Kubrick was like, fuck this, nobody's going to get this.
Nice.
So when they came back to make 2010, all they had was what they saw on the screen
Oh, wow.
as reference.
That's crazy.
And I think they did eventually find that and maybe some other props, but they got rid of everything. They were carrying around tablets in that freaking movie.
Yeah, they were.
And that looked legit.
For sure.
They had the right communication. Just the spacesuits looked like you could live in them.
Yeah.
They looked functional. Colors were pretty bright, but hey.
Right. And that's where you'd get it, though.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, wait a minute.
Oh, and the pods.
Mm-hmm.
The way that the pods kind of moved and just everything about it. I mean, that's why it made my number 2, because I was like, this is one of the most realistic things I could ever imagine.
Exactly.
Until they started coming out with Interstellar and Gravity and all the other movies that they kind of have like that,
Sure.
But yeah,
That's a great one.
yeah, it's my number 2.
No. Okay, so my number 2?
Your number 2.
My number 2 is Aliens.
Okay.
Yeah. Specifically Aliens over Alien. I like them both.
Okay.
And if I had to do a top 5 list, Alien and Aliens may be on that list if I was doing more than one from a franchise.
Yep. Yeah.
But
yeah.
maybe not, because we'll get into my number 1. But yeah, I mean, first of all, horror in space.
This was more of an action horror sci-fi epic.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely a space movie, and you could go with the first one too. I don't know, man. They're both so good. Different movies,
Well, way different movies.
Yeah.
Way different movies. But this one had.
This one was epic.
It
in a
had
way.
G.I. Joes in space.
Exactly.
And each one of them had their own characters. Each one of them was
You had your roadblock. You had your
right. Yeah, you had your comedy, Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
You had Michael Biehn as the freaking ultimate badass, right? You had even the woman that played Vasquez or whatnot, or what was her name?
Oh yeah, Jeanette Goldstein.
She was awesome.
Steen.
Yeah, she was badass in that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Even the drill sergeant or their sergeant.
Yeah.
He was a real drill sergeant.
Right.
Freaking awesome. Even the little guys that they had, Rabowski or Wabowski or something like that. Where's Basky?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then because Apone was the leader. He was their captain or sergeant or whatnot.
Yeah.
Lance Hendrickson.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And he was a robot.
Bishop.
Yeah, he was a robot, and he was actually like they flipped the script.
Yeah.
And he was a robot that was like, "Hey, I got your back," And then you had a queen alien.
Yeah.
And she blew it out of the goddamn airlock. And
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so epic.
Yeah, epic
I
movie.
love that movie. I don't know how many times I've watched it.
I've seen it a lot. And actually, as a child, I saw Aliens before I saw Alien.
Me too.
And that set a bar, where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like
So then when I watched Alien, again, it was good. It just wasn't Aliens,
yeah,
And
and
especially for the time they came out,
right. It was what 6-7 years after, I think.
Yeah, it was. I will tell you real quick. I think it was 7 years after. I think that's right.
Yeah, because it was a badass movie.
Yeah, so came out in 86, and it was 79 when Alien came out.
Mm-hmm. I remember my parents had rented that movie, went over to a friend's house, and I had brand new G.I. Joes. I did really good on like a report card, and I got like a shitload of them or something.
Nice.
And the house we went to, their son had like a shitload of Garbage Pail Kids.
Weird.
So it was like an ultimate
Like the
80s
cards?
night. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
It was weird.
I had a ton of those.
Yeah, me too.
As you do.
Yeah. It was just, that was the first time that I had heard it. And then when we brought it home, I watched it.
I remember watching Aliens for the first time, and I think it was debuting or something on HBO that weekend.
Oh.
And it seldom happened. It was like my dad's house, and the whole family was kind of sitting around watching it.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was eating fried chicken, like when they're biting in, like it's like this may not be the best thing to eat while I'm watching this.
Having the Colonel's chicken.
Yeah. Ugh.
No, it was a freaking awesome
Yeah,
movie.
great movie, though.
Expansion on the lore really opened everything up. That's another where I would put it, like Predator, right?
Right.
Predator has that high bar for just like freaking ultimate action. This one does too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you got aliens in it.
Sure.
And then you got the Predator in the other one, but pretty awesome. It's a great
That's my number 2, sir.
great number 2. All right. This is my number 1.
Number 1.
It was very hard for me to keep my mouth shut during that last conversation because my number 1 is Alien.
Nice. Nice.
I Alien is, again, I think it's more grounded in a weird kind of reality.
Sure.
They answer a distress signal and it turns into this fucking giant universe. You know what I mean? That nobody knew, that's still going on today, that nobody knows what the hell's going on with it. I mean, you could put Prometheus in it. You could put, what was the last one that they did? Where they were on the God planet or whatnot. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was, Alien Colony 2 or something. I don't know. But
was that direct to DVD?
yeah, no. Yeah, it's right next to the Atlantic Rim movie.
Oh.
And George Thor. He sells Thorman grills. No, Alien is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Everything get you. Tom Skerritt, I was never really a big fan of Tom Skerritt. In this movie, you're like, okay. But then, come on. Ellen Ripley. There's maybe there's some action stars, but she belongs in an Expendables movie.
Oh, there you go.
No
Yeah.
shit.
Sure.
For real. No shit. She belongs right alongside Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. No fucking doubt about it.
Bridget Nielsen.
maybe.
Wasn't she Red Sonja?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she was not Ripley.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Ripley could kick the holy living shit out of all of those guys, I think. For real. Like, I mean, it's just...
She'd find a way.
Yeah, no shit. I mean,
And that was her thing, you know?
in the first one, she is basically just trying to stay alive.
Right.
And she's like, and she's the one that has the voice of reason at the very beginning.
Yep.
She's like, don't let them in. And the robot's like, oh, hold on. Here I am. And then he freaks out and like puts the magazine in the dude's mouth, and it's fucking the aliens or something you never saw before. It was very, very just disgusting. It was bloody.
Yeah.
It was nasty, and it was freaking. It scares the shit out of you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because that alien just got bigger exponentially
Yeah.
within minutes. He was bigger,
Yep.
it seemed like. And they had no weapons because it was a cargo ship or a
Right.
mining ship.
Yeah, mining ship. Right.
And they set down on LV 426. I was like, huh, what's this? Wow. I like how they revisited that in Aliens.
Yes.
You know what I
yes.
mean? And showed that part, but they did cut out the newt part where they went and actually found it.
Right.
You know? But again, both of those movies, different directors, different ideas, but built upon the world or the universe that they were in such a way.
And obviously, you couldn't have had any of that without the first one.
No,
You know?
you couldn't have had. I don't know. I don't know. I think Ripley is such a badass character that she is an archetype or archetype that literally kind of set off the 80s in that.
Sure.
You could look at it that way.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I think that because this came out in 79.
The first one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it was right there at that turn. And who the fuck knew Sigourney Weaver? She had
Right.
been in a few things, right? I guess. I'm speaking out my ass right now. But she turned into this freaking ultimate action star.
Yeah.
In the second one is where she really took off.
Right.
And believable. You know, the first one, you were like, okay, she's just getting away. And she's just out there in the middle of nowhere at the very end of it. And she just ages 40-something years, you know, till she gets to the second one. It's just fucking such a badass movie.
Yeah, the first one was more like a survival horror, where this one were aliens. The second one was more of kind of prepared
Yes.
to some degree.
Yeah, they went
you
in
know?
there expecting something. She
exactly.
had no idea the first time.
Right.
You know, and even she was the voice of reason in Aliens.
Yeah, 100%.
She was.
She's Ripley.
Yeah, I really think she has to be one of the best characters of any kind of science fiction movie, action movie, horror movie, anything like that, because she was smart. She wasn't dumb.
Right.
You know, she wasn't tripping, you know, falling down, being like, how are you catching me? Ah. No, she wasn't. She
no,
was
I
like,
agree.
back the fuck up. You know what I mean? So I really kind of, again, I put her, she should have been in Expendables. 1, 2, 3, and however, 12.
Fair enough.
Yeah, she should have been like the bad guy in part 2.
There you go. There you go.
But that was my number 1 is Alien.
Great movie. Obviously, that franchise made 2 of our list, you know,
Mm-hmm.
on for each of us. So speaking of films that you couldn't really have it without having this film, my number 1, and by far, like, space movie, Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
And I would just pick Star Wars because you couldn't have any of it without that.
No.
And it was so much better than everything that was around it, you know. But
And almost everything that has come since.
yeah,
I think you do have that split. You have the reality space movies, and then you have these science fiction ones.
Sure.
So like the realities like 2001, Interstellar,
sure.
things like that. They were still science fiction, but more
Based in
yeah.
actuality, you know.
This one, you want to live in that world.
Right.
We already live in the other one.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You want to hang out with a Wookiee.
Right.
Come on, how many lives and
You want to fly the Millennium Falcon,
Right.
You know, or an X-wing, or
everything.
Yeah.
The characters are fucking badass.
Want to fight? I wanted to fly the Darth Vader TIE Fighter.
I like the B-wings were kind of messed up, but the X-wings are the shit.
Yeah, X-wings are way better than the
Come on,
B-wings.
I
And then you had the Y-wings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the X-wing was the shit.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
an X.
That was the fighter.
That thing's
It looks
awesome.
like a fighter.
Yeah.
You know, a fighter jet or something.
What about that movie did you not like?
Star Wars?
Yeah.
Nothing.
That right.
No.
Right.
I love that movie
Right.
when I was a kid. Man.
Exactly.
Like, that was... Don't get me wrong. As I got older, that was my least favorite one of the original three, just because it was on everything. You know what I mean? And I have a hard time ranking because honestly, like Return of the Jedi and Empire are right there.
Yeah.
And those stand well above all the other movies to me, and that's because I was a kid when those movies came out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I would say Star Wars, one of the main reasons why Star Wars is so great is because you didn't know there was going to be a part 2.
100%.
You didn't expect it. When you expect a part 2,
Now everybody expects,
Right.
they're setting up a sequel.
right. Now, if you look back at like Alien, part 2, no.
Right.
Star Wars ended. If it would have flopped and become a cult movie, guess what?
That's it.
It would have been
Which
bitching.
they kind of thought.
Yeah. And look what happened.
Yeah,
they have an entire, planet built about it, and that's called Earth.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I did notice, where was it? I don't remember what I was watching. It was like a TV presentation of Star Wars. It's been a few years back, like just a few. And I could tell the difference because it wasn't the newly updated, all cleaned up. You could still, if you looked really hard, you could see the squares around like the TIE fighters moving.
Yeah.
You know, but at the time, like I didn't see that stuff when I was a kid.
No.
You know, I was just like, oh.
Yeah,
God.
they're flying in space. What the hell is
Right.
this? I loved it, and I still, one of the biggest travesties in all of anything is them not releasing the originals on Blu-ray
Right.
or a good DVD copy. Which the last time they released the special editions on DVD, 10, 12 years ago, whenever it was, 12 or 13, they released the remastered ones, the redone ones, and then they had a second disc, which was the original.
Oh, nice.
But it was a Laserdisc version.
Oh.
But the thing is, that's the closest thing that they got, because whenever they did the restorations, they took original film stock.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah,
You're right. So there's a copy of them out there. There really is.
sure.
And I hope that they release those, because I am a yub nub dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then I love seeing that stuff. Like you said, you see the squares, you see how they did it. And that was something that was really cool.
And especially at that time. I mean, coming out in 1977, I think that blew away like all the other things you had seen in space, maybe besides 2001.
Yeah.
In a different way. You know what I mean? It's obviously a different kind of movie altogether.
Yeah, that movie created careers for the freaking gaffers.
Oh, 100%.
That were,
Yeah, everybody
the
involved.
riggers. Yeah, the dude, the script supervisor was like, yeah, I was a script supervisor on Star Wars. You're hired.
Right now.
Yes. Whoa. That's pretty awesome. I mean, think of everything that we have today is because of that movie. When it comes to the science fiction,
It's
just
a
like, let's go for
science
broke.
fiction fantasy movie. That's why, too. It's got that hero's journey for real, you know?
Yeah. You introduce the Hidden Fortress, the Kurosawa, and then everything from that hero's journey, and then you put it in space with a Flash Gordon touch.
Yeah.
And holy crap.
Yeah.
You have something that's relatable that everybody loves to watch.
And the Empire was cool. You know, stormtroopers.
God, it makes you.
I mean, obviously they can't shoot.
yeah.
They don't have ranges on the Death Star.
No shit, right? Yeah. Well, I wonder what that would look like. It's like pew 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 pew. They're like whoa whoa
I
whoa.
would think you would have some kind of material that would absorb. You know,
Right. Something that where they're just firing like it's like. But Star Wars, that's why I kept it out. I mean, you could put Star Wars on there, but for me, which one am I going to put? Return of the Jedi is in my top 5 of all time.
Well, and again, that's why I say I'm just choosing Star Wars, because without that, we wouldn't have gotten any of the rest of it. Because, like I said, I have a hard time ranking between Empire and Return because I like them for different reasons.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi was like my favorite movie as a kid, period.
Oh, dude. That's in my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Nice.
Of all time.
I don't think it would be, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I the original version of that is what I have in my head list.
It's definitely in my probably top 10,
Yeah, everything about that, the colors in that one, everything. This one, what I really love about Star Wars is this one was that dirty yellow, kind of like, farm boy shit. Yeah. The second one was really cold and blue, and the third one was green and lush, which was just completely awesome. But this movie changed the world.
I wanted the holographic chess set game they were playing.
Right.
With the beasts. I was like, how cool is that?
That's so awesome.
Where do I get this helmet so I can train with a lightsaber? Where do I get a lightsaber?
You had everything.
All that,
Yeah, it was fucking awesome, man. That that's why it was kind of a hard. Again, I was looking at these parameters thinking, damn, how am I going to rank these?
I'm going to amend. See, again, I kind of want to amend my 5th because I never really truly chose one. And I'm going to do it right now. Okay. The Fifth Element.
Yeah. You know what?
It's number 5.
Fucking great movie.
Awesome movie. It's more, and again, it's all over the place. Don't get me wrong. Some of it does take place on Earth, obviously.
Yeah.
There's some space. There's plenty of space.
That was on my the honorable mentions, like Dune, right? Okay. The reason why I say Dune, the first Dune had some space stuff, but it was mainly on the freaking desert planet.
Yeah.
And then same way with the new one.
Yep.
You had a few little space things, and then boom. So I wouldn't consider it a space movie,
right?
Right.
Well, I mean, I think is Superman a space movie?
I thought about that too because it took place on Krypton, or
Krypton.
That's how he
Russell Crowe.
No,
not Russell Crowe, but
Marlon Brando.
Yes,
Brando was like Krypton.
Brando. Krypton.
Yeah, he just did it to fuck with everybody because he could. But yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, it was an awesome movie, but he does go into space at the very end of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm crying. I mean, he was like badass in it.
I feel like you could go, like some of the movies that came to mind, like I really liked the movie Life.
Yeah.
Which was kind of alien-esque.
Kind of, yeah.
In a way. But I again, as we've always talked about, that's kind of headcanon for the prequel for Venom. But that was a good cast. I liked the way everything played out, and it all took place on a spaceship.
Right. Right. Now I kind of almost put Dark Star up there because I've seen it, and now I dig the comedy in it and just the weirdness of it.
It's a strange one.
Yeah. Silent Running. Have you ever seen Silent Running?
I don't think so.
That's one. It's got Bruce Dern in it, and I have it, but I've never really set through it. I don't think I've ever really gotten into the mode. So I started it, and I'm like, I don't really want to watch it, But supposedly that one's a pretty cool movie in the vein of Dark Star,
sure,
almost. What about Total Recall? I
thought of that as soon as we were talking about, being on a different planet and all that.
He only spends 5 minutes in space.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, how do you make that a space movie? Ad Astra.
I haven't seen that yet.
That's a great movie, and I would put it in the Interstellar vein.
Okay.
In that Interstellar 2001, 2010. Okay. What about...
More realistic.
Right. Serenity was a really good space movie.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
It's a good movie.
Or Firefly.
I haven't seen all of Firefly, but that movie was pretty awesome. The new one with Pedro Pascal, The Prospect, is called Prospect, where they're prospecting on a different planet. Maybe you can consider it. Mm-hmm. What else here? Moon.
Moon was good. That's definitely an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah. What about Life Force?
Life Force. So I took Life Force more as a alien invasion movie,
Okay.
and those are different to me.
Yeah, like Invaders from Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
the first
War of
one.
the Worlds, or
Yeah, right, right.
any of those kind of movies.
I thought about War of the Worlds. Thought about The Day the Earth Stood Still.
But they mostly take place on Earth.
Yeah.
You know,
You only get a couple of different things.
Right.
You know?
like Predator.
Right,
would be
right.
that way.
Yeah.
That's an alien invasion movie, sort of.
The one movie that we didn't mention that takes place in space the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
and is one of the most awesome fucking movies in the world ever made, Arena.
Damn you! We're just gonna do Arena, so you can't use that anymore.
Because Arena's so bitchin'.
Sure.
I don't
That's
even
all right.
think YouTube's like, I don't want to put you on here. People upload it all the time, and it's there for like a day. They're like, finally, we got Arena on there, and they're like, explicit content. Boom.
Really? Explicit, even. All right, so a real quick recap of your top 5, sir.
Number 5 is The Last Starfighter. Number 4 is Spaceballs. Number 3 is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, James Khan. Number 2 is 2001, and number 1 is Alien.
Fair enough.
Now yours.
My top 5 are the amended list. The Fifth Element. Number 4 was Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3 was 2001, Space Odyssey. Number 2 was Aliens. And number 1 was, of course, Star Wars.
Great fucking list.
Yeah.
The one th-
great list all the way around.
The one that we kind of skimmed over that is a real good space movie would be Heavy Metal.
Sure.
Even though the Lochnar was only in space for a little while,
Right?
you know, there was the Harry Canyon story. The Harry Canyon story. That was on Earth, but it had the Lochnar in it, and there was
Sure.
aliens and shit. So, but yeah, even Rock and Roll, they're not in space at all.
Not at all. Space Truckers?
Yeah. Shitty movie.
Shitty movie.
Yeah, except for Debbie Mazar. Yeah, she still sucked. Yeah.
I think we've got a couple in here, though, that we will be doing in the future.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Ice Pirates. Shout out to Ice Pirates. One of the greatest space comedies ever.
Ice Pirates.
Adventure comedies.
Yeah. Space herpes. The
So
robots are all
great.
dumb. Well, what we need to do is we need to really plan on, and this is for you, dear listener, that we're going to plan on doing Ice Pirates soon,
Yes.
and then Arena soon.
There you go. That's for you.
That's
how
for
much
me.
we think of you. No, I was talking to the listener.
We have to.
Yeah,
It's so
dude.
shitty.
Well, come on. We've done Attack of the Killer Tomatoes or Return of the Killer Tomatoes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we set a gold standard, is what I'm trying to say.
A gold standard. A robot jock standard.
Oh.
They were in space for like a minute.
For half a second. Yeah.
It was a futuristic movie. Yeah, but that's our top 5 space movies for the end of Spacegiving.
Yeah, this is the end of Spacegiving. You're going to get this on Spacegiving.
Yes, on Spacegiving on Thanksgiving.
That's right.
You know what? And if you are needing something else to listen to, you can listen to our Thanksgiving specials.
Oh, from last year.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That will help you feel bad about all of the stuff that you're going to eat. Think of it like a nuclear bomb going off in your stomach.
It's,
like eating Taco Bell,
Yeah.
you know, because that's going to crush your soul.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to watch those or listen to those 3 back to back, you got to find something else to do in your life.
Yeah, and then
just
watch,
because you're gonna cry.
yeah, and then watch Testament,
Yeah.
and then you'll just be like, oh god.
And then finish it all off with a few episodes of Whoops.
Yep. Ah! But this is space giving. Well, we got a good month planned for December, so yeah. If you hate it, give us an email. If you love it, leave a like, comment, or subscribe to Drop Culture. the Drop Culture
On
Podcast.
whatever platform that you listen on.
Yeah, if there's a new one, let us know. I think we're on all of them.
We're on most of them.
Yeah. I just put us on, or at least try to, Amazon.
Oh.
Yeah, so look for it. Look
There
for
you
it on
go.
your Amazon Music player.
Yeah.
Or something.
Ask Alexa.
Yeah. Alexa, can I hear the Drop Culture Podcast? Yes.
That was a good Alexa voice.
Yes. Hi. I would want my... Okay.
We're digressing.
Yes, let's go ahead and end it, and I'll tell you what I was thinking. All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good Thanksgiving, and we appreciate you listening.
Yeah. And thanks for giving us a listen.
Yes.
Peace.
No, what I was thinking is